of fear and powerlessness. Chaos is not a side effect. It's a goal then to freeze us. So we can't kid ourselves. This is one of the most pivotal and difficult moments in the history of our country. What happens in the next few years will impact this country and the world for decades. So if you're feeling outraged, disgusted, fearful, or depressed by all of this, you're not alone in your normal reactions to an abnormal situation. But let us take a few minutes to process what we're feeling and give each other some mutual support. Can I ask anyone who would like to share how they're feeling? Raise your hand. Be brave, slowly. You're right.
My name's Carol. I live out in southern Cuba County. It depends on the day. I get up energized and get ready to go and take it all on. And later in the day, when the radio's on and you all, and you start hearing all the things that are going on, your mind cannot even wrap around how fast it's all going. And you're right, powerlessness is what it's over, fear, and then I dig deeper and try to reach down and say, it's going to be our job to help those that are in trouble. That's where I try to find myself and center myself. So that's what we'll be doing. How do we help those that are in trouble with this crazy life?
Yes, ma'am. I think you feel like we share from many of us that sort of overwhelming feeling, and then you have to step back and try to hold your thoughts and your feelings.
So this week, the Right Reverend Mary and Bunny re-energized me and
That's sort of finding those little sparks of hope in the blur of bad news.
Can I just add one thing? I think everything Judy and Meryl said is right on. I want to add that part of the intention of the current administration is to make us fearful and miserable. And so one of our forms of resistance is to be joyous and to find ways to have fun. Not just to work hard, but to also have fun. Right now, every day, I'm wearing a Chinese amulet that says joy. That's a joy character from China.
Well, yes, indeed, we have to find things to help us make sure that over here.
Hold it closer there. Okay. I just wanted to say, I was kind of not really scared just because look at everybody here. This is the most people I think we've had at one of these.
In a while.
Yeah. So I'm really happy to see that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Thank you.
And so we celebrate every little bit.
I see familiar faces from 8 years ago. And so yes, I'm devastated, all of us are. And I just heard a psychologist yesterday say, one way to decrease your anxiety is with action. Of course, I got an individual because I was involved 8 years ago and went door to door for Bernie. And I've done 2 indivisible Zooms. First one was how to use Blue Sky. Second one was indivisible Zoom for activism. I just want to share with you that I got on Blue Sky and I'm like, what am I doing? Well, I've got to tell you, I'm trolling. Here I am, 77 years old, never done social media, and I am having so much fun posting cartoons that are basically trolling the people who are tearing down our democracy. I limit my time, but I spend a lot of time because I'm just enjoying it. Okay, so
putting out has been absolutely terrific. If you haven't looked at their guide yet, take a look. It's been really good. Anybody else?
I've been involved since Trump was first in our purview. And I just want to tell you, I think being active is the best thing we can do. And I think to start being active, you have to be informed. So I encourage everybody to find good media that you can depend on, that you know is accurate, that is telling you the truth. And my husband and I have found that we've gotten rid of the Washington Post and New York Times. We're now depending on different people on Substack, like Heather Cox Richardson. We're depending on the Contrarian, which are the people from the Washington Post that have left there. And I'd be happy to share any of our other ones that we're looking at. But my husband and I last night developed a list of everything Trump has done this first week. And I'd like to pass them around. They're all welcome to see it. A few people that I really think a lot of, Robert Reich and Mark Ellis have said, is each of us can do our small part because each of us has a town square. It may just be your neighbors, it may just be your family, it may just be a mahjong group like I have, it may be a bridge group. But be sure that you tell those people when they say something incorrect, it's not time to speak up. There's no more not speaking out there. Also, they all suggest take a personal, all his bad things, I mean, it's overwhelming, it overwhelms us, but make each one personal. Find out one person of those 1,500 that he pardoned and make that person's story your story and tell people about the person that bear sprayed, the policeman that died, and tell people about the one that had the flag staff that was doing things to people. So find a personal story and make it yours, because people listen to that better than 1,500 people got pardoned. That means nothing. But make it personal. So I'm done.
And today we will, and thank you, those are very good points. And what we're doing, one thing we will today here is some other groups who have actually gone on to the dog chance and action groups that are taking action. Well, I want to thank everybody for sharing today, and I hope that you know that everyone else in this room is feeling things to support you as you process through the law process. It's important that we go into our work with clear understanding, both of what we're facing and of what we're having inside ourselves.
That's okay. I
As
got
a
it.
people, we are resilient. We'll get through this. We will come to the aid of our communities. We will support the vulnerable. We will resist Trump's efforts to persecute his political enemies, and we will not compromise with fascism. We have each other, and together we will continue to strive for the rule of law, for social justice, for equal opportunity, and for democracy. And eventually, and maybe not that far off, there will be a strong backlash against Trump as he rolls out his destructive policies, including from some of the people who voted for him. And we will leverage that outrage and backlash in the all-important 2026 midterm elections. So I want to say a few words about our group here. So we've been forming this coalition, which finally settled on the name Work United Community, in response to the prospect of a second Trump presidency, knowing that there was no way that we could sit back and just let these bad things happen. So let me introduce our officers. My name is Karen Whitehouse. I'm also the chair of our Revolution Cuba County, and I am the co-chair and mailing list coordinator for Work United Cuba. Then this is Janet Beer. She is the chair of the Invisible Cuba, and she's my co-chair of this group. So we have Rebecca Ruggles. She's with Cuba Climate Action, and she's our secretary. Sue Secor in the back there is our major domo. I don't forget them. We have a couple of members at large, Janet Schwenker, Marilyn Hill, I think, Rochelle Messelrose. And then I'm going to let Rob Ryan, he's our communications coordinator, introduce the communications team.
Thank you, Karen. As Karen said, I'm Rob Ryan, the communications person and the outreach coordinator. So our communications team is comprised of Judy Holmes, who does marketing, Clara McIver, social media, Karen Wyckoff, mailing list coordinator, and as I said, I also do the outreach coordination. So as the communications team, just like the rest of the group, we're made up of a diverse group of various political parties and views. We will participate in all the conversations, but my priority as the communications director is that we're communicating for and speaking for the group communications and representing the group. So our next course of action will be we'll finalize our statement in collaboration with everyone who's here today, and then Clara will be doing social media posts, and I'll begin doing outreach to groups. So we have a long list, which is a living document of different groups that I'm going to outreach to and try to involve them so that we can learn what they're doing and people who are here can go take part in their activities and some of their members, if they want, can come get involved with what they're doing.
Thanks, Rob. So, over the past week, since our meeting towards the end of November, we've been working to define our organization and particularly how we stand in relation to the ecosystem of other existing organizations in this area. So here's the thing. There are so many important issues and no one group can do it all. So instead of trying to carve out a niche for ourselves, we've chosen instead to offer a forum where other groups whose values align with ours can connect with individuals and other organizations. Now, I have a little slips with the mission on it if anybody wants to read along, or I can just read it up. So let me present our mission statement as it stands. Worth Uniting Here is a coalition of individuals and groups dedicated to identifying local, state, and national policies that negatively affect the quality of life of people in our communities and our environment. The group works collaboratively to mitigate harm and effect positive change. And here's what we do. We provide a forum for communication among groups in Cuba County. We share information. We facilitate connections between people and organizations, and we coordinate efforts to increase the effectiveness of our work. So basically, right now we're working to put together partners, and other people would like to present at our forums. Okay, well, we'll get right to it then. Today we have speakers from 4 other local organizations. They'll each have 5 minutes to introduce themselves, describe their goals, and share information about the actions they are taking. At the end of our event today, there'll be an opportunity for you all to network and make arrangements to get involved and take action with our partner organizations. So we're going to start with Janet VR from Indivisible Cuba.
All right, so Indivisible Cuba has been around for 9 years now, and came about, I think you can imagine why. We sort of took a break or rested or thought we didn't need to be working so hard. That passed. So here we are again. We've rebooted. And we are already looking forward to what kinds of activities we want to engage in the future. We've connected with Indivisible Onondaga County, which some of you may know about. They're a bigger group of people. They have, coalesced around Syracuse, so it's a whole lot easier. We're already working to connect with them and probably Indivisible Mohawk Valley. Initially, in regards to our representative, John Mannion, most of you probably have John Mannion as your congressional representative, and a lot of you worked for him to get him elected. I was upset to find out that he had voted for the Lake and Riley Act, which just passed.
I said
need to
lots.
Yep. That's great, that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So we're hopefully going to meet with John Manning at some point in the relatively near future. And interestingly, in my emailings back and forth with Onondaga, Indivisible Onondaga County, apparently Rachel May is on their list, and she just sent me an email saying she'd love to come talk to Indivisible Cuba. So I'm hoping we'll get Rachel May, and I think we're thinking that Rachel might be able to talk about how we can help support our state government people and push for our rights and our protections in New York State. So that's yet to be set up, but it's in New York. Some of you, of course, have Claudia Timmons, Congressional District 24 as your representative. And if any of you in that district are interested in chatting with me, if you want to see if you can get connected, there is a very active group of people in the Congressional District 24 working to make life hard for her at best. Hopefully they can do more, but anyway, so I'm going to let Rebecca tell you some things that she's been thinking about.
So, you're still speaking for I'm still speaking. Rebecca Rogers now for Indivisible. One of the things that was really effective in my view during the first iteration was the talks we had from academic experts on different aspects of democracy. I particularly remember Tom Keck from Syracuse University speaking to us. I thought perhaps this time we should be looking for those types of speakers on two topics and interested in other topics that people might suggest. One is states' rights. States' rights used to be, pejorative words if you were progressive, right? But it has been pointed out by many people that states' rights could protect us now, and we need to understand exactly what that means. Where do those rights lie, and how do we use them to push back against incursions by the federal government on our rights as New Yorkers? So I'm looking for a speaker on that, and got a few feelers out. The other topic that I think would be really powerful would be to find out more about disinformation, misinformation, how it's grown, and how it can be combated, how it can be neutralized. And I loved what somebody said about all the new sources of information that are out there that are much more reliable. Interestingly, this is a harder one to find a speaker on because some of the academics are being investigated by our Congress. So, and they are being very careful about what they do publicly. But we're going to keep looking for that, and hopefully in a little while we'll be able to have a speaker on that. So those are our ideas for speakers. Yeah.
I don't know where to bring this up, but in terms of speakers, I'd like to hear from representatives of the law enforcement, that is police officers associations, because they were supporting of Trump, but now they condemn Trump at the federal level, both the Brotherhood of the Union and the international police officers. But they're going to be critical at some point to deal with Trump's army.
Yep, that's a great.
This
That's
insurrectionist
wonderful.
army of Trump, we're going to carry out his retributions outside the law. So where will law enforcement be then?
That's a great idea, and that's a great example of a dialogue we could have, not just to be informed about where they stand, but to tell them our concerns, right? And to ask our local law enforcement officials to protect us rather than, salute.
So I don't know where they get in the agenda, but.
Yeah, no, thank you, that's great, and I'll be interested in anybody else. Do we want, is that it?
Yeah.
Do I have to take ideas now, or would you like us to?
Can we wait till the, I mean, if you have ideas about other speakers?
Yes.
We want to hear, and I'm here, and we'll do it afterwards.
Can we do it a little bit later, because we have a couple other people to do some introducing of themselves, and I want to say a couple more things about Indivisible. So yes, we're very interested in hearing from people. If you are not on our email list, make sure you sign up on our email list. is continuing to provide us with great information and suggestions. And we have a great coordinator in New York State, Sarah Reesky. Some of you may know her. She's fabulous. She knows a ton of stuff, and she's everywhere. There are lots of Zooms out there. I suggest you go to the Indivisible National page and see if you can sign up for emails and occasionally go to a Zoom, and you can learn tons. We do have a presence on Facebook for Clara McIver and Kate Fairweather have put that together. Well, it was already together. Rochelle Nasserod are working on that, handling it. If you have some ideas for other media sources that we should be using, we should talk to Rochelle or Kate do that. And, you know, I think getting engaged is what we need to do. Karen has already said that. I always feel, I mean, just looking around here, it feels good to be here with people. I wish we had some, sorry to say this, younger people with us, but we have a few. Anyway, thank you, and check with Rebecca and I before you leave if you have ideas about what we want to do. So.
Thank you, Jen. And yes, if you have ideas for other speakers, that's one of the things we're gathering today. So our next speaker is going to be Glenn Gannett from Cuba Climate Action.
Annalise, you should come up with me. Annalise, where are you? Here you are. Come on up there. I'm Glenda Neff. This is Annalise Adams. We're here representing Cuba Climate Action. Cuba Climate Action started in 2019, the fall, by young people. Yeah, I would say, as you can tell, there's not a lot of really young people here. But Cuba Climate Action has always had young people at the core because the climate and changing climate is the future, right? So our mission statement is very simple. We want to educate and do things to help the climate crisis. We are on Facebook. If you are on it, that's an easy way to keep up. Also, we have an email list that only occasionally sends out notices, and we are doing so many things that we might do an email that has 2 or 3 things in it right now. To be brief, is we're focusing on action. Our name is Cuba Climate Action. Action on the local front, the regional Finger Lakes front, and the state, New York State. So our current work on a local, super local city of Auburn and Cuba County is on recycling and deconstruction materials. The biggest thing in the Seneca landfill and other landfills are debris from construction. Every time they tear down a building, most of that stuff goes into a landfill. So we do have things about deconstruction, and we are the people who went into Denny's before they tore it down and stripped it of wonderful, wonderful things that you now see at Auburn Public Theater, in the city schools. They got refrigerators, that kind of thing is what deconstruction is about. We hold our second annual polystyrene foam recycling, and here will be one pickup point or drop-off point on Saturday, February 8th, 10 to 2 here, and in Aurora at the Patrick Tavern on February 8th, 9 to 2. So if you have big pieces of foam, nothing that ever had food in it, no popcorn. You can take popcorn to the UPS places here in town. They will take it and reuse it. Annalise is going to speak about what we're doing on the state level. So the last thing I'll say about the local level is we're going to be working with Anderson Ingalls, this beautiful building. Four members of so many groups, including Cuba Climate Action,
I'm starting, first Fridays have been on a winter hiatus. The next first Friday is the first Friday of March, which I think is March 7th, right? You can all look at the first Friday in March. We will be here, and our hope is that we're going to have 5 or 6 tables of local people talking about things that have to do with the environment. One of those things will be agriculture and farming, and I also represent the Northeast Organic Farming Association in this area in New York State. So we'll have agriculture and recycling and other types of things. And I see if there is one last. The last thing is probably just that we do have an email list that is really, you might sometimes forget we exist because we don't send out a lot of emails, but for the styrofoam and for some of these events, we'll put out, just a quick email. Otherwise, if you want to stay in touch, check Facebook. I'm on Instagram, so I'm thinking of starting to keep it kind of on Instagram. So we'll pass this around and you can sign up for the emails. And I'll hand it over to Annalise.
One question. On May 7th, March 7th, is there a time?
What's the first Friday time is 5 to 7.
Thank you.
It sometimes go a little past 7, but it's, so. And Reuse Refuge that's down here on Genesee Street is also a core member of our group. So she'll be down there doing First Friday. So we haven't been to Reuse Refuge yet.
Hi, you guys. My apologies if I started a little bit when I heard public speaking, but so are you good climate action?
You gotta be right over your best.
Like, there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so climate community action, we're part of our great coalition. It's called New York Renews, and that is a statewide coalition, and it's has 30 to 80 plus organizations, and that deals with climate policies in New York, and it was also part of the green network called the Green Network Deal. And some of the things that we're currently working on is New York Heat Act, which is helping lower income communities in the Syracuse area get funding to replace their heat pumps and to kind of help decarbonize their homes. And so we're working on that, and we have a mobilization on February 4th, where we're going to Albany, and we'll have lobby meetings and go on $1 million staircase to, just make it clear that we do want to work past this. And so, in addition to that, we're also working on the GAP fund, which is kind of complementary to the HEAT Act because it's again in regards to housing, because that's one of the largest ways we can help to get New York State in alignment to its green energy goals and get away from fossil fuels. And so we're working on that as well. What else? What else did we get here? My apologies. And then New York News is also working on the Fund Climate campaign, which is about ensuring New York spends its money effectively where it matters, which includes affordability, reducing pollution, and prioritizing communities. Because from the bill that Hochul just passed, the Climate Change Superfund Act, we're expecting money from that. So we just want to make sure that they appropriately utilize it. We're not just taking their word for it. So we want to be part of the process. And those are some of the things that we're working on. And hopefully some of you guys can make it to Albany with us on the 4th. But if you are interested, just let me know and I can send you an email. And then there you go.
I want to point out that through what Annalise is particularly working on with New York News too, and is that we already had a Zoom meeting with Senator Rachel May and about what it is we can do to make sure we don't have to roll back things because of the federal level changes. So that is a really big part of working on the state level. As New York is an important climate state to
to go to court when it has to, and to fight for things like Annalise just described are at the very leading edge for climate change. So thank you. We're having fun too.
Yeah, and also helping with Citizen Climate of Citizen Action work in Syracuse, they're really active too, so, yeah. Again, if you guys are interested, just let me know, I'll email you guys. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, you too. And, we'll be able to hear, we'll be able to connect with each other. Okay, the next speaker is Andy Simpson from the Farm Workers Program.
Thank you. So after the election, some of us particularly in the southern part of the county, where there are a lot of large dairy farms and foreign workers, we felt a desire to try to be of service to that community of migrants facing, a lot of uncertainty about deportations and immigration enforcement actions. Most, or many, but not all, of this group of volunteers are involved with the Friends meeting in Poplar Ridge, and or with the sister city relationship with San Pedro in El Salvador. But what we have been doing is we are partnering with the Cornell Farm Workers Program, which has an established outreach campaign assisting migrant workers and primarily farm workers, but not limited to farm workers. Mary Jo Bedley is the person in charge of that effort with Cornell, and she has a presentation that she gives called Know Your Rights. She gives it in Spanish and has slides, and it has documentation that can be helpful for people, and a lot of practical advice. Things like don't go around carrying false documents, because if you're detained with false documents, you're liable to charges of carrying using false documents. Things like knowing your rights to remain silent. There are little yellow cards that people can carry that they can hand to a law enforcement officer that have printed up on them in English, my name is so-and-so. It's a normal thing. You're not allowed to remain anonymous. So my name is so-and-so, and I decline to answer any questions at this time, basically. So it's a very thorough presentation that Mary Jo does. And what we've done now on 2 occasions down at Poplar Ridge is we've had workshops where the presentation is given for the migrants, and then afterwards we have an opportunity for people to fill out documents and have them notarized. And we've had bilingual individuals there to help with that process. Some of these things, there's really a service effort to help people, just in case a family member is detained and held in deportation proceedings, for example. In that instance, there can be a lot of issues with children. Who's going to care for those children? Will those children be able to travel if the parent or parents are deported? It can be very helpful to have a person designated with the parental permission to accompany that child on an international flight, for example, or to, if there's a temporary detention, maybe the parent will be able to be out on bail or something. Who's going to get the child to school and have it be authorized to pick the child up at school? And powers of attorney for dealing with not just family matters, but financial matters, picking up paychecks that may be pending at the person's place of employment. So we have documents through the Cornell Farm Worker Program that people can and sign and have notarized and then have that handy. And, with hopes that it won't be necessary, but can, we think, provide some peace of mind for people that are facing this uncertainty and feel that at least they've made some preparations and they know what to do if the worst case happens. So we've had 2 of these sessions. There's another one scheduled for February 11th, a 4th one on February 25th. Those will be at Hispanic churches in the area, Southern County. And then the Cornell Farm Worker Program is planning a all afternoon 1 to 8 event on February 26th, which is more directly being organized by the Farm Worker Program. We have a good, one of the things that's encouraging is had a strong volunteer turnout with many notaries, several notaries and several Spanish speakers, bilingual speakers. If anyone is interested in participating in that effort, you can feel free to be in contact with me and see if you can.
Talk to you then.
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Meeting at this time, as nice as getting married after. And our final of our featured speakers are Brian and Ashley from the Social Justice Small Group at the Westminster Presbyterian Church.
Thank you so much for having us. I'm Ashley. This is Brian. We are members of Westminster Presbyterian Church, which is historically a very active church in the community. And we lost our pastor about a year ago. He went back to Ohio to take care of his family, and we didn't want to drop the ball on being active in the community. Brian and I have been here for 3 years in Auburn. We grew up in New Jersey. Brian was in the Army. So we've been in Germany, Kansas, Virginia, and we have settled here. So in some ways, we are still learning about Auburn. This is great. Definitely to talk to you. And we're just kind of getting our feet under us with the small group that we're doing at church. But I'll hand it off to Brian and let you explain what we're doing with the small group.
We're members of Westminster Presbyterian Church. Some cool history behind it, some of you may know, is that they had to break away from their original church after the pastor prayed for the soul of John Brown. So that's a legacy that we're super proud of. We like to keep that. We have a lot to live up to, basically. As Christians, we believe very strongly in what Jesus said, if whatever you do for the least of these, you do for me. And that we take that very seriously. We're a Matthew 25 church. We try to live out that part of Jesus' gospel. And we have basically 3 areas of strategic focus for our small group, which is education, essentially, like someone said before, making sure people are educated and informed so that they are inspired to take action. Outreach, which is essentially we want to be boots on the ground in the community, learning about and then addressing the material needs of the community members, especially with the least of these, right? And then finally, the most important is taking some sort of action. So we believe in peaceful protest and acts of peaceful resistance, but still resistance and protest. So those are kind of how the areas of focus, how we orient ourselves. We try to choose a goal from one of those categories once a season. And it's not just for church members. We really want to make sure that everyone in the community feels involved and feels welcome. We like to focus locally, not that we're, not paying attention, but you know, in Auburn, there's a lot of progressive groups in Syracuse and of course Ithaca, but we need to do some organizing too, because you know, the people power, us being able to bring our numbers to bear on the forces of oppression and fascism, that's really, I think, is super important. So we want to make sure that we're focusing on that. You know, some of our goals for the future, there's a lot of them. I don't think we're going to list all of them. One of the things that we'd like to see develop is a workers' council. I work for SEIU Local 200 United. I'm an organizer and a rep with that organization. So making sure that we have an independent workers' council from the major unions. There's nothing wrong with the major unions, but just making sure that you know the people that are not part of the union, workers have a lot of power. If we withhold our labor, we can get a lot done, especially when we're facing the forces of Trump and his people. So those are some of the areas that we'd like to aspire to. We'd also like to, we have a huge church, as you know, and we don't utilize all the spaces that we're not living up to the potential of our church, I don't think. So we'd like to be able to open that building up to help houseless folks and other type of people that are struggling. And some upcoming events on February 16th. We're going to be holding a forum, and we'll have to talk. The topic of that forum is how we can help our migrant siblings. Obviously, they're going to be facing a lot of repression, so we want to be connecting, and I'm sure you'll have a lot to share. We're still looking for speakers for some of these events. And then on March 23rd, we're reading the book, Our Invisible Neighbor by Crystal Wolf. I'm still trying to connect with Crystal, so if anyone knows her,
I don't know.
I sent her an email, but I haven't
passed
met
it
her
back
first.
to
We're going
me,
to
so
read her
I
book,
need
and
to
we're
go
going to
up
have a
there.
discussion. Hopefully that gets the juices flowing on how we can better use our church to serve this population in the community.
What is the name of the book again, please?
It's called Our Invisible Neighbor by Crystal Wolf, and in many ways she's a local. I think she's. Yeah.
I have a phone number.
Oh, perfect! Because I haven't been able to figure it out. I sent her an email. Thank you so much.
So she sells them at the farmer's market and other places.
Oh, awesome. And then the last thing I'll say is that I'm also, if anybody here is a veteran, I'm a member of a group called About Face Veterans. We're a group of anti-war, in military-industrial complex veterans, and we're trying to use our platform, our voice for good. Is there anything, I think I'm missing some stuff about maybe some of our future goals, or
We've been talking a little bit about trying to work with some of the feeding programs and sheltering programs like Safe and Warm and how we can fill those gaps. I'll drop this, maybe I shouldn't yet, but I work for the city. I'm a city planner, so I have a lot of like inside information on shelters that are hopefully going to break ground, and then also supportive housing. So trying to see if we can fill those gaps for some of our unhoused folks on the streets, and what the direction is we need to go. Maybe working with DSS to try and help them open our doors to do at least a warming center. That seems to be a big struggle. Otherwise, we're just using our hotels, which is very costly. So, we have a little bit of overlap with the feeding, the Episcopal Church.
St. Peter, Paul, or
Peter and John.
Peter John. And then the Salvation Army, and then Safe and Warm, and trying to bring them together so there's some more communication there, and making sure people aren't feeding, are unhoused. We're missing a day, or we're feeding twice in one day, we can spread that out. Yes?
I think you all should know there's a monthly food providers network meeting. And you can find out by calling the local community action program. Because a lot of networking about meals throughout the whole county happens there. And I work with farmers who are now being able to provide fresh fruits and vegetables in the growing season with New York State tax dollars paying the farmers. So you can get donations, but this is like getting
so we want to bridge those gaps, and really it's about seeing where we can fit in as a church. Like Brian said, we have a huge space, we have a big gym, we have showers, we have laundry machines, and they're not being used. So we need to be really concerned. And a lot of times when we bring it up to our church members, it comes down to staffing. They're just like, how much more can we pull on our church members to do this? So if we can get some community members involved too, and then we can fill a couple hours every week. That'd be awesome.
Super stoked to be here, thanks.
Awesome, so much. And I know we're gonna keep going. Are there any representatives from other groups here who'd like to say a few words about your organization? Okay. And I'm going to have to keep it real quick because we've gone way over.
Just following up on the immigration refugee stuff that was talked about, the Syracuse Immigrant and Refugee Defense Network is very active for people who live close to Syracuse and northern Cayuga County. You can join them. They do twice a month. Plus, they're doing a lot of action programs right now, like rapid response and stuff like that. So if you're interested, I can give you your contact.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Dia Carabajon and I'm the chair of the Cayuga County Democratic Committee. And our mission has never changed. Our mission is to elect Democrats up and down the ballot. And if you've ever considered running for office, please talk to me. It's not in the fall that we organize, it's right now that we are organizing. We have elections that are happening throughout Cayuga County, town and villages. We have a city council election that's going to happen here in the city. If you have ever considered running for office, now is the time. It's the first place of resistance. It is a place of resistance that is much more traditional, but we're here, we're not wavering. And if you know someone in your community that wants to run for office, talk to me too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You're not seeing double, that is my sister. My name is Elisa Hunt, and I'm the Executive Director for Literacy Volunteers at Cayuga County. We have an office right down in downtown between Parker's and A.T. Wallace. For the first time in 22 years, I've spent the week getting information to our English as a second language students about what to do if ICE shows up at their door. So I have a lot of information that we have gathered, a lot of flyers. If you need any information like that or have a place to distribute it, please let me know. We're down here and we're seeing you.
Well, thank you so much. Oh, wait, one more. I'm Karen Haas with Sterling Water Stories up in Sterling. We deal with a lot of issues related to drinking water. But what I wanted to emphasize is MyCon, which we are actively interested in linking up with others who are concerned about the potential for a lot of pollution coming out of that microchip factory. And basically we'll be dependent on the County Water Authority over the years to adequately monitor whatever filtering system they put in to keep all the PFAS out of our groundwater and making its way to Lake Ontario. And so I would ask you if any of you are linked into other groups that are working on micron issues, please come and talk. Thank you. I'm really pleased by what a wide variety of organizations have been present here today. And I can't thank you all enough for the work that you're doing and for the opportunities for the folks in this room to take action with you. As mentioned previously, you all will have the opportunity to connect with these folks at the end of today's event. And also, if any of you other groups would like to be a featured presenter at one of our future forums, please see Rob or one of our other officers before you leave today so we can get you on our list. Okay, so last time we met back in November, we brainstormed some ideas for priorities for our organization. And we've organized that input into 2 groups. Issues of priority, ideas for issues of priority, and ideas for strategies. Because some of the stuff that people submitted were more strategies than actually issues. And Sue someplace has lists of those things. We're going to break out into small groups of about 4 or 5 people, because we'd like to ask your help working with us with the priorities that you all identified. And we're looking to put the list in some sort of order. Because there's, like, I don't know, a dozen or something, that's more than we can do all at once. At any rate, so what I'd like to do is have folks break up into about 4 or 5, make sure each person has their own 3x5 card.